Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Overwatch League. My name's Mitch Leslie with Matt Morello, and we're here for our second game of this Easter Sunday. This one, Matt, it promises to be an absolute doozy.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Fusion, Atlanta Reign go at it once again.
You know, the last series was pretty crazy. It was just really back and forth. I expect this series, back and forth in terms of just teams exchanging blowouts. I expect this series to be much closer in terms of actual play. These are two of the better teams we think we're going to have in the league overall at the end of the season. So we're going to get a first look of a head-to-head today.
Yeah, I mean, look, these two teams so far look really good this season. 6-1. This Philadelphia Fusion roster today is Carpe, Ivy, Sato, Fury back in, getting more run on the battlefield. Alarm and Funny Astro to round it out. I mean, Matt, what do you say about this team? I think the only game they've lost this season was to the Paris Eternal.
Yep.
And that was a close one. I think it was a map 5 loss. Super hype game. Philly always provide those kind of victories.
This is the lineup we kind of thought they would have at the beginning of the season. Maybe like Hisu in for Ivy, depending on who you want in terms of hero pool. But like Sato, Fury is kind of what we expected coming in. And then Poco get a lot of playtime because him and Sato have great synergy in terms of the tank line. But with the double shield in play, you bring in Fury, he can play that Sigma.
And not to mention overcoming Paris, yesterday, I guess Philly, had that very, very close match, another classic 5 mapper. On the other side, though, the Atlanta Reign, currently 3-1 in the season. Again, a little bit of a hiccup against the Paris Eternal. This happened, it was like their second match, and we were like, what's going on? This seems so crazy. Now we know just how legitimate Paris are, right? And the Atlanta Reign have really taken that in their stride, and, with victories over both Florida and Boston, they've got to go up against, some more middling competition, but they're back up against the top team today.
Atlanta has looked good, though, in double shield compositions. Like Johnny had mentioned, really like Hawk and Gator as a tank lineup, and then Dogman Masa in terms of the supports, and Baby Bay in the lineup today, so maybe some McCree or Widow.
Let's have a look at our map pool, ladies and gentlemen. We started off on Busan, and we go to Hollywood, which is an excellent match to watch these two teams on, because they're both famous for setting like some of the fastest times. We'll talk about that when we get there. Hanamura's in the pool as well. Dorado and then Ilios, if required, will be at the tail end of the series. And if you know anything about these two teams, you're hoping that those are required. Hey, Matt, you talked about the double shield and how Atlanta Reign's looking so strong right now. Gator, I think, when going into week 9, he was first in offensive assists and supercharger assists in the league, but more importantly, he's like a top damage dealing Orisa player with like very few deaths. So like his stats look like stand out above the rest if you take all of those together as like a top main tank player on Orisa, especially in the league.
Right, and if I remember correctly, he was even playing some of the Sigma for them later in the season last year. So Gator can play both the Orisa and Sigma whenever needed, but I expect Gator to be on the Orisa because, like you mentioned, he's been very good on it so far this season. So it looks like for Philly early. Let's see what they decide to run. You could, we've seen them play the Torbjorn on this map in the past. Don't expect it here though. Potentially, probably like a Carpe Hanzo. This tour would be difficult to run into the McCree and the Hanzo composition. So that would be the first we've seen today. McCree Hanzo with a Brig.
All right, Masa on the Brig. So no Lucio here for the Atlanta Reign whatsoever. Now, maybe they're expecting Philly to put Carpe on the Tracer. Maybe they were looking for another level of a layer of defense against it. But Carpe dominated the Washington Justice, especially on this pick last week. And, I mean, he's in good position to do some work here.
Here's the thing for Atlanta. You don't need a speed boost because what they want is Philly to speed boot this Rhine directly into the tanks in the break with an immortality field. They'll get a ton of value out of that, Atlanta. And then they can just play from a distance.
I mean, they have to do that right now. Now, they get a good bit of poke damage, but this doesn't really help them get to the point to contest it quite yet. Philly get to lock it down first, and now they'll rotate. So they are going to cede control of the high ground to Atlanta. Let's see if that comes up hurting them. There are against the McCree Hanzo. They try and speed forward a little bit, but look at this Baby Bay set up on the high ground. And like you said, this is what Atlanta want them to do. They want them to come forward and fight.
Yeah, and look at this. Now Baby Bay can get the high ground. You have both of these damage dealers in the Baptiste from all different angles trying to put damage down on the Philly as they're stuck in the cubby.
And there Carpe's approaching 4,000 final blows, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. That may well happen here in this particular map or series. 5 kills is all that he needs. We'll keep you updated with that one, but he's getting plenty right now. Wouldn't that be fitting to get him on the Torbjorn? 36% and counting. Philly look like they're ready to deal with Atlanta's defensive comp.
Yeah, the Carpe's signature Torbjorn. That's what everybody will remember him as. No, I mean, his play on every hero has really been fantastic. Kind of missed that turret up a little bit, wanted to get it up on the high ground, but it's all good as Philly is able to still hold on to the point through all of that. Atlanta, they don't waste any ultimates, though. They're going to have a lot for this next fight.
Dragon Strike for Edison, he lets it go. Hawk also going to try and go for the Gravitic Flux here. Sound Barrier, though, makes this kind of hard. He might get Sato for his trouble, but Baby Bay's only able to find Funny Astro. Getting Sato as well, pushing around that corner, but Philly are not being shaken off the point here whatsoever. The Atlanta Reign are not progressing across the map, not nearly close enough to the objective.
This has been a blowout in favor of Philly thus far. Philly wins that fight. Mitch, they hold on to some of these ultimates. They use Shatter, they use the Sound Barrier. Atlanta ends up investing almost all of their ultimates there. They don't even get close to the point. Now you're going to have Edison switch over to Tracer just to get back. That's an Ant Matrix Fire Strike there, as this is going to be all Philadelphia.
That Matrix was placed so close to Atlanta as well. They had no chance to even respond to that one or escape. I wonder what's going on in Carpe's head, or if he's ticking over just how close he is to making history in the Overwatch League. But for now, I'll have to wait till next round. It will be Philadelphia Fusion, a very one-sided showing here. Fury, 4 final blows here on this Orisa.
That was lightning. I mean, the control games we've had today have gone so fast. So we'll see if they bust out that Torb yet again. Maybe a little bit harder on this point to make the Torb work, but we'll see. As both teams go Symmetra, they'll have the TPs to get out of the spawn. Then Edison, if it's like what we just saw, he'll go to Hangzhou and Carpe could play the Torbjorn.
Edison had a really quiet map on that Hangzhou. No final blows for him. Couldn't get in position. Again, you're dealing with the Rhino Orisa, so similar core setup as to what the Chengdu Hunters are trying to play. Fury we normally expect him to see on a true flex tank, but he's picked up the Orisa and he looks very comfortable. Back to the Torbjorn here, and Carpe is looking to break some kneecaps this round. And he'll make his way a little bit slower.
And they have to play Tracer into it.
It is Edison, but I mean, this is scary. Carpe has a flanking angle, supercharges, just gets a bit of damage here. He's not fully committed, but this is definitely going to be a concern.
But he doesn't have an opportunity to set a turret up, so that allows Edison to just go on the flank and not have to worry about it, right? Because what Edison's worried about is that Torb turret getting set up, but by Carpe being in that position at the start, he's not able to actually get out there, get some kind of control and set that turret up, which allows Edison to just pop off.
Now, the Torbjorn not making an impact in that first fight at all. Carpe has the defensive turret set up here. Edison is just staying out of line of sight of it. You can see it there at the corner of that door frame. Edison gets to flank to his heart's content here. He almost has a pulse bomb. And now the walls slide up on the point. Baby Bay opts to step back a little further, make sure he can't be flanked. And this pulse bomb, where does it go? Edison would love to get on one of the main tanks here. Could be nasty. Great hold to combo with as well, but Immortality Field got placed down in time. Carpe gets him. Once more, the Torbjorn shows that he is the antithesis to the buzzing, gnawing annoyance of the Tracer.
That's the difficulty of it, right? The Immortality Field perfectly placed at the right time by Alarm. It's a beautiful halt setup, though, by Gator that just gets negated. This will be Hawk using the Gravitic Flux. Baby Bay with the Deadeye, trying to hold on for Atlanta.
He found Fury somehow. I thought it was going to be pretty tough to find anything at all there, especially with how Ivy had used Ice Block already to stave off the Gravitic Flux itself. But the Atlanta Reign have maintained control this whole round. And these two teams are both bringing a high-octane style, and both of them now looking like they're going to get themselves around if Philly don't have an answer very soon. So Molten Core might be the trick.
I mean, and Atlanta doesn't have any ultimates, right? You have Sound Barrier, Blizzard, Shatter, Molten Core, a lot here for the Fusion to get the point back. We'll see if they're able to combo any of these. And even if they do, Atlanta still, they're going to end up at worst with like 85% on the point here. I mean, it's a great time for Atlanta.
Here comes the Molten Core. Carpe trying to get the flank around. Didn't work. Now he's stuck. He's out of the fight early. He's 2 for Edison already. And today's been a story about Tracers. Edison is definitely one of the protagonists. 94%. And the Philly Fusion have one more chance, and it will be a messy, disjointed push to the point.
They're going to come from lower, right into the Supercharger. Sato with a Shatter, gets 0.
Yeah, he got booped out of it. Massa, I think, whip shot him out of the weights here. And that fight's going to be over. No chance for Philly to break back in here. And both of these teams showing one-sided rounds here. And they're going to take Busan to a third.
So funny, for so long, when teams were running the Torbjorn, we were wondering, like, oh, why run the Torb? They're like, oh, it's a great Tracer counter, great Tracer counter. If you run the Torb, they can't play Tracer. We've now seen Tracer have success against this Torb comp. Although, be it is with double shield, and a lot of it is with, like, halt pulse bomb setups, right? Like, big combos. It's still, though, at time, though, if you can deny the Torb access to getting that turret set up in a great spot and giving them point control, you are in a great spot to continue playing that Tracer.
So much so that maybe Carpe would like to follow suit here.
Oh, I'd love to see a Tracer v Tracer matchup between Carpe and Edison. Sign me up.
It would be fitting. Matt, he is 2 final blows away. He has 3,998 right now. And on a signature hero of his, it would just make sense. Baby Bay is he's working himself out. Don't worry about him. He'll get to where he's going eventually. He'll be on the flank. Philadelphia are trying to outmaneuver here. Edison will be a little bit starved for flanking opportunities. He forces a very early recall, and Carpe doesn't want to take the challenge as his opponent has plenty up his sleeve.
Yeah, if you're Edison, obviously you're going to get kind of ghosted by Carpe in terms of where he's going to play. They give Baby Bay a good sightline here. You rarely see this.
He is literally behind them, Matt.
Yeah.
Not just a good sightline. He snuck himself in right into the back line here. Carpe wants to try and chase him down now, but it's forced to recall.
Where are they trying to pressure him out? Like, obviously you haven't seen him in the round this far, but still, as soon as he gets that first headshot on the Fury, you would have thought like maybe like Carpe or Funny Astro would have collapsed on him. Fury goes over to Wrecking Ball, so this is a very interesting setup. When you have the both flankers and a Zenyatta in play, you can probably play the Wrecking Ball in here to try and make an impact.
I mean, that looked more like, from Philly, it looked more like a presidential tour than a game of Overwatch. They danced around the point, shook some hands, kissed the baby on the forehead, and then got the hell out. It was bizarre. Carpe, though, there it is, gets rid of Baby Bay. That was the opener. Just a dash in with the melee to finish it off. Fury causing some problems here by the looks of things. The Wrecking Ball displacing so much of this backline. Carpe still looking for more. Ivy helped him finish off Gator elsewhere. And over the top, that should be an elimination here for Carpe. He actually has to recall out, should I say. But he should be happy enough with this.
Yes, they'll deal with Hawk as he's
one more.
The grasp here is one more away for Carpe. 4K, he's got the pulse bomb to work with as well.
And he'll wait behind the point now. Holt thrown out by the looks of things. He's able to dash away. 10% to 55. And Atlanta again step forward to try and contest the point. Carpe looking for a pulse bomb initiation here. Just a one stick, all he needs. Sees the transcendence, hits the back line anyway, and he musters immortality field again. At least Atlanta are able to respond to the pulse bomb as well as Philly did in the previous round, but it's about the point now. That's the important part. Sato gets rid of Gator. Fire strike there. Carpe trying to push around the edge, pushing towards a McCree, while Dogman and Hawk decimate his team.
Oh man, as Baby Bay lets him know at the end, Baby Bay cleans up 3 there, then Carpe with the recall right into a flashbang and a headshot. So a little bit of the aggression from the Philly Fusion with the Wrecking Ball doesn't work out here. It is Atlanta takes the point back. Carpe go back to the Torbjorn here. So you don't want to play your own Tracer into there. McCree is Baby Bay's a fantastic McCree player. And then also, you don't feel like playing in the Hangzhou here in a mirror matchup. Or even like you couldn't even, I'm surprised you haven't seen him try McCree potentially.
Oh, Carpe, he's in trouble. Trying to hide behind the turret. He actually breaks line of sight with it. Edison couldn't do much about it. He goes down. Funny Astro swings on in. And that little mistake, that little challenge from Edison may cost the Atlanta rain here. Carpe sat behind the point. He has a talent up on the high ground, and they pressure Hawk down. This will be Philly back in control right at the 11th hour.
You see Carpe move towards the right side. He's gotten over his 4,000 final blows now.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to Carpe, solidifying his place in the record books in Overwatch with 4,000 final blows, the first player to reach them. Truly an incredible achievement, and Matt, the best part is, he's not slowing down.
Yeah, and he had a whole season that you would consider an off season, like a not up to par. So we can take a look. So I believe, what are we gonna see here? Is this the Torb turret?
The turret. The turret got a kill.
Picks up one. Then
okay.
The other side picks up another.
Love to see it. Okay, Gravitic Flux, good connection. Fury goes down early, but Gator's going to be caught in a blizzard now with Coalescence. There's plenty of damage to capitalize here. Oh my god, Dogman saved the day. He just pounces on that one with the Transcendence up, keeps his main tank alive. Gator, I mean, bless your lucky stars, you got a support like that in your backline. Carpe's turret down, Dogman gets rid of Ivy, and you love that aggression from Dogman. He gets another one in this fight. Zenyatta's looking damn good. Yeah. Carpe sitting in the background, is close to a molten core, though this could get a little bit dicey now for the Reign. They've lost Gator and Edison. They're going to push now on towards Hawk, and they get rid of him. And just in the nick of time again, Philly wrestle control back.
They flip it back, as I thought Dogman's Transcendence was going to save the day for Atlanta, push him over the top. May not be enough here at map number 1, is Sato with a Shatter, Carpe with this Molten Core can just isolate the point with it. Be impossible for Atlanta to stay on for long.
Carpe just scouting out his next turret location. Sato has to be careful. Shatter could win the round, but only if it's used right. Okay, they get Hawk, knock him down. Fire strike there, but there's plenty of healing, and Sato extends deeply into it, but it doesn't matter. They're burning down now. Carpe finds the flames, and he fans them on the Atlanta Reign. So much for finish is rising from them. The Atlanta Reign drop out of map number 1.
Yeah, as it's a nice Shatter there from Sato. It's actually a halt Shatter, which we never really see. It's, I believe it's Fury who gets them into line of sight of the Shatter. Sato lands it, but it's the Molten Core after that prevents Atlanta from pushing on to the point. So we, map number 1 definitely delivered between these two teams, really close.
I mean, expectations have been set. Tempo has also been set. This is going to be another series where we see damage dealers going wild. Baby Bay had a great first map. Comes in there playing a lot of the hit scan. He ends up with 11 final blows. So does Carpe. Again, this series already promising. It's tantalizing what we might get in the next map. But we have to wait for it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take a quick break. And then map 2 will be on like Donkey Kong.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by ZipChair Gaming, the official chair supplier of the Overwatch League.
To
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
Map 1 in this match between the Philly Fusion and the Atlanta Reign, it delivers. It was close at the very end of it, 99 to 99. Carpe making switches, you know, Torbjorn, Tracer tried a little bit of that, back to the Torbjorn. Edison looked incredibly good on Mecha base, and then Baby Bay across the entire series looked great. Both these teams stacked with caliber individuals. these are the kind of players, these are the kind of teams that we expect to see in playoffs later on in the season. They're already showing off a lot of flair.
Well, you knew that Philly, with the roster improvements, were going to get back to top form, right? They were not going to be the same team as last year. Maybe closer to the team in Season 1, where they ended up in the grand final. And they've definitely looked like that. In Atlanta, I mean, they had a breakout season last year, their first one in the league. And since then, they've only gotten stronger. So do you expect these two teams to be at top of the Atlantic Division?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Already, their records are showing that one. You know, Philadelphia with their win yesterday's, well, they're 7-1 now. So I think these two, Paris Eternal, like those three teams are really exciting to watch right now, and are also leading the way in terms of cracking the code on what the hero pool is and you know, getting the most out of their coaching staff.
It also helps that they have such versatile, deep rosters that they're able to weather the hero pools situation, however way it turns out week to week. We do have one substitution, which lends you to a, you know, having some of the stronger hero pools and whatnot, is Boombox will come in here for Funny Astros. So they'll play that double flex support we just saw the Houston Outlaws play.
Yep, I like to see it. Good to see Boombox back on the battlefield. And our second map is going to be Hollywood. And these two teams, man, historically have set the first and third fastest times on this map in general on the attacking side. So I think 4 minutes and 10 seconds is the fastest. That's Philly's record. So both of these guys got sick attacks on this map. I don't know if it's going to be like modern day NFL map where there's just no defense or what. We'll have to see.
We'll see. I mean, with the double shield, the pace of the play is a little bit slow, where if you lose a fight early as an offensive team, the other team gets ultimates, they can extend a little bit more on defense than they could have in the past. So we'll see if we see any of those blistering paces set by the offensive squads.
What do you?
I think it's just a way different game than it was when it was happening during that, right? I think. Like if you look back at probably some of those stats, like whether it comes from like double sniper comps or like something like GOATs, those tend themselves to be way faster times because the snipers are able to get pickoffs at range, right? If your sniper on offense gets 3 or 4 kills in a row, there's a very good chance you're going to set a very good time because you're just rolling through them. And the same with GOATs, right? If you were able to win a few fights, get ultimates, you can make it rather quick. I think that with the way Double Shield is, it's so control-oriented, so positional-oriented, it's very difficult to set those blazing times.
I mean, yeah, we get some highlights from that previous map here, and seeing how aggressive Philly are wanting to play right now. I think that was the kill.
4,000.
Yeah,
Does
that was
it count
actually
though
a
if it's
kill.
from the turret though?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is ascribed to you as the player, so you know, it had to be. You know, nothing sums up a year of you know, things like crunch time, than you know, a milestone being broken with a tourbillon turret. Anyway, I digress. We're out of the gates here, and Death comes on 4 legs. Casato's leading the charge. Philly are going to be playing Arista Sigma here, and it's Hangzhou main.
Somebody will go back in time and look at all the first 3 seasons and be like, what happened in Season 1? It's like, oh, there was a hero called Brigitte at the end. What about Season 2? Oh, it's a bunch of tanks. What happened in Season 3? Carpe's Torbjorn turret got his 4,000 final blow. The exclamation point on all of it is the Phillies just got the high ground for free here. Like, how did this happen? They walked straight through the choke, ended up with a high ground. The only dangerous thing is Edison's Tracer on the flank.
Yeah, I mean, who shuts it down really here? They don't have a Brig like the Atlanta Reign are playing right now, and well, it may not really matter. We may not even need that answered right now because Sato gets burnt down. These comps, these double flex support compositions as well have a lot of there's a lot of damage, right? There's a lot of poke available with Batiste in the mix.
Atlanta's comp is really good at dealing with the double shield version with the Reinhardt in play. That's where they'll excel at because the Reinhardt has a difficult time running into the immortality field, the Brigitte, the McCree, a lot there to deal with that Rhine as Carpe goes over to Torb now, probably try and get that high ground control again. Deal with this Tracer, because that seems to be what they're worried about now, the Philly Fusion. It's the Tracer of Edison getting behind. That's why you see the Torb turret lower, trying to force him into that upper hallway.
Yeah, nothing says I don't want to deal with Tracer than a defensive Torb turret just to watch an angle. Yeah. Still, Edison's going for it. Still, he's going for the Pulse Bomb. Had to be the Immortality field used by Boombox just to keep himself alive. Sato going down now, but Alarm's in a good position. Found 1 kill and getting his second of the fight. What is so interesting about this comp smash? You say it's slow, and it is, but as soon as that first shield goes down, that first pick happens, people tend to get mowed over.
Yes, well, there's a lot of damage out there. That's the crazy part is We do have a lot of shields. There's a lot of damage out there. As a Fury will deal with Gators. Hawk comes in, tries to use the Gravitic Flux. He'll get taken out before he can get anything with it. And like you mentioned, once we do see a pickoff go down, teams do a great job of taking control and advantage here with these compositions, because think about the damage you have with like Mei right clicks, Zenyatta, Sigma, Batiste, Torbjorn. It's a lot of damage that when you lose one of these shields, you're donezo. Like, you're getting wiped up pretty quick.
Yep. It means the margin of error is very slim indeed. So Edison, realizing that, okay, it's a little bit risky for me to play Tracer the way I want to play it, switches to the Mei here. Atlanta go for a little bit more of a standard composition. Maybe they elected. I think he chose to be caught inside that Gravitic Flux, so we'd actually have a better sightline for his Deadeye. Very cheeky idea. Now, Philly realized this too, and they back up. But this means that Philly couldn't capitalize on the Gravitic Flux anyway. They were too busy hiding away from the McCree, so that's
we have a new use for Deadeye, the counter Deadeye there. So they bust out the Deadeye to prevent the follow-through from Fury's Gravitic Flux. Carpe's going to go change. Does he play Hanzo? Does he play McCree here? What do you think he goes to? He's going to go to the Hanzo?
Yeah, he doesn't have access to high ground as an attacker here, and I mean, Hanzo has that built into his kit, right? Straight out the box, whereas McCree probably... You know, you don't want to be aiming at rooftops as McCree. The aiming angle is also really unpleasant, so Hanzo will set him up there, allow him to sort of try and duel against, you know, maybe Baby Bay, but mostly Hawk for that high ground control.
That was such a nice halt from Sato as Hawk trying to get out of harm's way. Sato drags him back on. He gets hit with an aggression. Now it'll be an Ant Matrix for both teams as they're trying to set alarm up to get some big picks.
Yeah, and look, they got rid of that Immortality field from the Atlanta Reigns straight away, and that's why Atlanta Reigns' the Amplification Matrix doesn't get any value. Atlanta, they just ran. As soon as that Immortality drone was gone, they didn't want to try and take the risk of going, you know, window versus window with those Ant Matrices. Carpe's on the high ground though, still, and Dogman, well, he doesn't really have the bandwidth available to turn his attention towards him here. The Philly Fusion. Carpe got what he wanted, Matt. He says, I want the high ground. They force, you know, Hawk off of that one, force him to switch to the Wrecking Ball, and then Carpe just starts to close the fight from there.
As Hawk will go back to Sigma, just got back to the Cartes ball. Maybe they thought they had a chance to win it with the rally. Atlanta, this is risky to challenge this. You challenge it, you lose. Yeah, they're going to have to back up. This is the right call, though, for Atlanta.
Matt, the supports for Philly are accounting for more than half of their final blows right now. Alarm and Boombox both have 4 kills each. And again, they're just sitting back, they're safe, they're not getting focused down first in many of these fights, punishing shields, and Alarm getting some huge discords and kills of his own.
And it's tough for Atlanta there to give that point up, but they have to. They had no ultimates at the time. Philly is very close to taking it. You lose that fight, you give more ultimate charge to the Philly Fusion. You're looking at a 100% a loss with a really good time. Nice halt with the Dragon. That's the Immortality field that saves a lot of those players, though.
Okay, Ant Matrix comes out here, but there's a main wall in the way. Sato's able to get away from the window, so now Philly are chilling. They've found 3 kills there, and that Batiste ultimate doesn't amount to very much at all here. And I have to say, the Atlanta Reigns starting to sweat a little bit. Philly just breezed through that second phase after the switch for Carpe, and off the Torbjorn to the Hanzo. It still looks natural for him. Although, in fairness, he hasn't really been finding nearly as many kills as his backline. He doesn't have to. He's getting all the focus. That's the Gravitic Flux, and it was an easy kill on Baby Bay. Now Fury follows it up with an accretion here. Hawk struggling to get to the point. Now attention turns to Dogman. Batiste healing off the table. Now McCree the option. He's on that left side, and he couldn't touch. The Atlanta Reign, not a great look. I mean, they were struggling for options. Edison and Baby Bay swapped roles, Matt.
This is the... I did not expect this. This is a Team Atlanta that looked so good running double shield. And Phillies in the first 2 maps, first map's close. On offense here, they rolled them, man. I mean, 2 minutes 18 in the time bank's a fantastic time here on Hollywood. And I think Sato came up with a bunch of huge plays on the Orisa. And what I love about Sato's play, and what makes Sato just an interesting player in general, is he can play all the tanks at like a very high level, right? But when you ask somebody who's like an expert or an analyst, like, oh, what do you think of Sato as a player? Like, the reactions are so varied in such different directions that, like, now you're starting to see him, I think, really kind of settle down with this roster. I'm starting to see a player that I thought we would see, where he's a very talented player on a lot of different tanks.
I thought we saw him in Season 1, Matt, after he was cleared to play in the league after
He
serving
was
a
great on
30-game
Winston.
suspension.
He was great on Winston, but a lot of the knock was like he can't play some of the other heroes. But I think you're starting to see his Rhine level up a little bit. His Orisa as well. Winston, who knows when we'll see Winston again. I mean, we'll have to ban all the tanks but Winston maybe to see Winston some more. But
Ha! Well, yeah, you might not be wrong. There's a lot that he doesn't want to deal with right now.
yeah, a lot right now. That's not great for Winston.
So Sato, yeah, okay, on the Orisa.
High ground
Showing
shield.
a bit more of that
Yep.
comfort.
They'll drop low. They'll concede this high ground because there's really not a lot that Atlanta. I mean, they can do a lot with it, right, with the Hangzhou, but also you know that Atlanta's playing around this Tracer. So as long as you stay safe, don't allow the Tracer to come on the flank. If Atlanta has high ground, there's really only one spot the Tracer can come from, which is this angle.
Edison is zoned essentially by Carpe. He has to take this fight because I don't really see any other way that
It's
he
the
is
only
relevant.
fight he has. He can't come through the front here. He's just going to take so much chip damage.
Well, I mean, the front door's starting to get battered in a little bit here by the Atlanta Reign. Not enough burning oil for the Philadelphia Fusion because Atlanta have already moved up to the point here. Perhaps it was because Philly turned their heads to deal with Edison. More likely, it's just his Hanzo from Baby Bay plugging into those shields. And Carpe gets picked up there by a Storm Arrow. Baby Bay will have his high ground in just a moment, and this fight will be done.
Yep. That'll be a point take for Atlanta. I think Philly, you probably switch. You could play Torb here on the second point. I think the issue is like with high ground and verticality, that's the only reason you may see them stay on the Hanzo and not go towards the Torbjorn here. Which I think if they don't go towards Torb, that allows Edison to really have an impact. Obviously, there's not great spots for Tracer to access the verticality healer, but still a lot more flanking angles than he was given on that first point.
Aerial view will show that Philadelphia aren't really attempting to control the high ground here until they get the lift set up, but that is a vulnerability built in. They have to wait for the lift to come down, and that gave Baby Bay all the time he needed to set up, and much like Atlanta, Philly might just be bundled out of this Westwell part of the map. What do they go here? When they try and play without this Zenyatta, it's just fair enough. They don't have Discord Orb. Okay, they can live with that. But it's their position. It's so compromising where they're just stuffed around the corner like this. And Hawk just sits up here, Matt, just throws Hyperspheres.
I mean, they've controlled the high ground here. That was a nice job, though, before when they get Alarm. They were working that shield. The shield was early from Sato just to try and get them up. They didn't have another tank there. Dragon to zone them out from the left-hand side. Fury, the Gravitic Flux in the high ground. That's going to be a Supercharger plus the Immortality Field on the ground here for Atlanta as they're trying to get the payload over the line.
Ivy Brave pushed forward, though. He saw the Supercharger thrown down. He sets up 2 kills for Fury. Gets the freeze on Gator, crucially. And he effectively limits the amount of the people on Atlanta Reign who can get value out of Supercharger by freezing 2 of them. That is a huge stabilization now for Philadelphia, but what do? Do they go high again and force getting picked off? Because Baby Bay will be looking for these opportunities.
There's something funny about that. That Atlanta loses that fight, they use a ton of ultimates, and the coach leaves the game. So now Philly, they have a great ultimate advantage here. Potential to hold on as Edison will get down, get the cart moving, just trying to draw players back.
Okay. Do they know? Looks like Philly are at least somewhat aware here that Dragon Strike combo from Carpe doesn't find much for them there. Immortality Field once again saving the day. Okay, Alarm, aggressive position on the high ground here. Hawk gets a very nice little kinetic grasp. And what do you do with it? Not a lot. You just sort of hope you don't get shot by Carpe, who almost has another Dragon Strike. He's at 60%. He just used that ultimate. So let's see. Gravitic Flux here. Okay, Alarm's definitely in trouble. And let's see.
Super weak, yeah.
Immortality Field too far away from Alarm. I don't think Boombox could get it across that far, or we just didn't either way. Pulse Bomb now from Edison. That allows him to get Sato. And that'll be it. Payload should get across here pretty comfortably and give the Reign, about 3.5 minutes to work with.
Yep.
Or more than.
And I'm pretty sure that Boombox ended up using that Immortality Field on himself. I think he thought that the Gravitic Flux was coming for him because he had the Ant Matrix. And he ends up just dropping it by his side. So it does not help Alarm whatsoever. Edison taking out some spawners here. He'll deal with Carpe. Sato falls as well. So a few players on Philly, they get that front spawn. I thought Edison was going to challenge that. I thought he was going to blink right in, but
It was the accretion, I think, that put him off of it.
Scared him off a little.
But you can see just how confident you can probably feel as a Tracer player with Repair Pack, given over by the Brig. I really don't think Edison was worried about Ivy. I mean, if he starts to feel like he's getting frozen, just blink away. I mean, recall if you absolutely must.
Another fight where you're down ultimates, though, here for Atlanta. Just the Ant Matrix. Another Dragon Strike here. You have the Transcendence, and you have a Gravitic Flux for Philly. You're going to build a Blizzard up as well.
Doesn't get Baby Bay. No, he's able to leap away. Hawk
gets Hawk
going to take a
low.
huge amount of damage. No follow-up, though, because, again, you can't see through your own Dragon Strike. It's not transparent to you, so you don't want to walk out into an area where you have no field of view. Okay, yeah, Massa very low there. Nice Hyperspheres, and Carpe's able to catch him out. Carpe needs to shut down this Tracer, though. He's going to lose Alarm yet again. Oh!
No,
you know what?
he will not.
Alarm doesn't need Big Brother. I guess he can fend for himself, and we should expect no less.
I thought Alarm was dead as well. When I saw Edison blink by and get the first few shots into Alarm, I was like, yep, they're going to kill it. The Zen or force the Zen to pop Transcendence. This could get very difficult for Edison, though, Mitch. Torb at this point in the map. There's really, what, 3 access points, maybe 4 if you consider the high ground for Tracer to access, like, the cart and the backline here.
3 of them at one time can be covered by Torb.
Yes.
So, okay, Turret's right in the back, so this will definitely dissuade Edison for trying to flank. Where he's standing now is fine, but he can't stay there. Look at he has to blink out. Can't recall, and Dogman goes down. And Carpe puts a rivet in his skull, but Edison, yeah, he finds a way in. That pulse bomb towards Sato should do some serious work. It has to be a Transcendence. Great timing from Alarm. And Carpe, the taxman has come to collect, and he does not forget. Edison gets slapped there by the Dominion of Torbjorn. Boombox is in trouble, though. Hawk versus 1 turret. Well, he has to use his shield to fight against it. Philly have time now to get back onto the point. Fury, Gravitic Flux. All right, going to get Hawk very low, and Kinetic Grasp only keeps him alive just a little longer. Matt, you were right. This is looking hard now with the Torbjorn in play.
It's going to be difficult to break this, dude. Like, so much control with the Torb and the Mei. Boombox now goes back to Baptiste, so you'll have a Supercharger here. And if Carpe ends up getting the Molten Core, which he will, ooh, they're going to switch off of it right away. So Edison goes as soon as, like, the second he gets off of Tracer, they go back to Hangzhou. So now you'll have a mirror.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, the Atlanta Rain have to come up with something, but Baby Bay just got smushed. There's no scientific term for that one. I know what it is to get thrown out of a window, but not to get hit by a gigantic rock held together by strong nuclear forces. So sorry about that. Edison will play close here on the side. Blizzards, I mean, none really on the horizon here. It's
Transcendence for Alarm could be a difference here as he gets it. I mean, the Amp Matrix you'll have to back up here for Philly. Just try and wait this out. You want to let them push past it.
Okay, well, Boombox finds Baby Bay again. Baby Bay, crucial juncture, gets picked off, and much like Joe Exotic Zoo, the Atlanta Rain are running on fumes now. Carpe has the high ground. No one can contest him. And Massa knows that the second he drops his shield, he is toast. Carpe will sit up on the high ground, and yeah, he has the angle. Hawk just gets a vertical arrow. It's like Legolas straddling the orc and just shooting it downward. Baby Bay at least finds a kill on his return here, but we're down to 15 seconds in the round. Ivy's going to sit back on the right-hand side, walls it off. Comfortable now. He can wait for the next push from the Atlanta Rain, who are running out of time. And that's going to be a desperation Dragon Strike. And Alarm has the Transcendence, mate. You are dead right. Baby Bay has to fire this off, at least to zone off the left side of the point. Good hold combo. It's going to be an ice block, though, from Ivy. He doesn't take any Dragon Strike damage at all, and Massa gets picked off at the start of that fight. They're out of options now, the Atlanta Rain. It's going to have to be this Gravitic Flux, and that doesn't do much either. Alarm had the Transcendence aforementioned, and Philly Fusion looks like Hollywood is still their home.
Philly gets a really good hold at the end of Hollywood. And it was, look, the Torb was super impactful there against the Tracer, and Edison was doing a lot of setup early on, rotating around, making plays for the rest of his team and himself. And once you got into that area of the map where there's the 3 points really to go on the low ground, to the left, the middle, and then the right, and then the high ground, and then the Torb turrets there who can watch all of it. You were not seeing Alarm die early there. He was able to build up Trance a little bit easier, and then once they switch off of that Tracer, they were not able to get near the cart. Really, really strong D.
We talk all the time about player advantage in this game, right? Yeah. How huge a difference it makes. Today we've seen 2 heroes that provide that have big impacts. Sureforce Ashe was one of them, at least for some of that series. And of course the Torbjorn throwing a turret down. It is a threat that needs to be answered, and that really taxes the bandwidth of teams who already have a complicated flowchart of things to deal with. So the Atlanta Rain, last time these 2 teams played, it went all the way, but Philly are looking to close it up after 3 maps. We'll find out at halftime from our experts if they think that's going to happen. So stick around. Plenty of insights and more Overwatch to come on the other side of this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome to our game break presented by Cheesy Grooves. My name is Zoe. Joining me here are Costa and Reinforce as per usual. Currently, the Philadelphia Fusion are up 2-0, but could it have gone the other way? That is the big question. So let's talk about the first two maps and find out what went right and what went wrong for either of those teams. Starting on the control map, first of all, of course, we need to address that we did see Edison and Baby Bay in the lineup. Keep in mind that Erster could have been a choice here too. Costa, are you overall happy with who they fielded? Do you think that allows them to have enough flexibility in terms of what heroes they can play?
On control, I understand it a lot more. You have the Tracer, you have the McCree, and there's a lot more freedom to move around. And you saw them, especially on this mecha base. Yeah. The Tracer just had so much freedom to run around. Baby can sit on the high ground, just shoot people with the McCree. That's where you get the value. But you saw on these other maps, they're just getting too much value out of the Mei. The front line's really struggling. They can't really deal with the Philadelphia Fusion with the aggressive style that they're playing with the Mei. And it was even worse on the second map on Hollywood. And when they have Edison and Baby, it seems like they don't want to play the Mei or tend towards the Mei, which in a double shield meta is very questionable. So I don't know what you think about it, Johnny. I just don't really understand it.
Yeah, I think you have to commit to one composition. I think that playing Brig when you're trying to play slow is a bit weird. I can see how the Brigitte might work if you play a Tracer and you're like, okay, well, we're going to build around our Tracer. We're going to give her the armor pack so she has more survivability and can poke around more, and we'll build more around her. I can sort of understand that, but I just think Philadelphia Fusion has a superior composition. I mean, you heard Mitch and Matt talk about it several times, that Philadelphia Fusion has such insane damage output that you really have to actually poke them down and engage early to not just give them a bunch of room to just deal all of that damage coming through, right? So I think Atlanta Reign have to settle for one composition that they excel at. Either you go aggressive, and we've seen this work for teams like Paris Eternal in the past, or you just play that passive style like the Philadelphia Fusion are playing so well. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but at least commit to one style. I can see them playing the Tracer and the McCree and the Brig, but it doesn't seem to be working out right now. It seems like the Fusion are quite honestly dominating Atlanta, so I want the Atlanta Reign to take a step back, reconsider their composition and their play style, and see how they can make it work.
Yeah, the aggressive style from the Fusion has definitely not been punished at all. And one player in particular is once again getting away with murder, as Carpe now finally hit his 4,000th career final blow.
Did he though, or was it
in-game.
the third?
Yeah, well,
That's
we
such
don't
an
know.
awful way to
We don't
cross
know.
that awesome milestone.
I'm just.
Is it
just
though, or is it a really
Going
good
out in
flex?
style.
I don't know. I'm kind of respecting
Hammer
it.
kill, I would have
Either way,
respected.
this
That's
is
true.
why Carpe made it once again into our crunch time, presented by Cheese It Grooves. Reinforced, there was one particular moment which stood out to you. Which one was it?
So, I mean, the play is cool, right? It's a good play, but it's not fantastic. But the larger question I want to pose for crunch time is, does Carpe have the best Molten Core usage in the entire league? Because we've seen it repeatedly, that he actually places it pretty well and actually gets quite a lot of kills because of the Molten Core. And like, it's not the best ability in the game, but the fact that he manages to get so much value out of it, I think it's fair to say we've seen 2 weeks of Torbjorn. It's a valid question. Does Carpe have the best
can
Molten
he
Core
beat them?
usage in the league?
Are you saying
Would you nominate him as the
the
Molten
Molten
Goat?
Goat? Yeah.
Molten.
least.
Is he a goat? Is he the goat on top?
he-
Answer the question.
I
It's been
leave?
2 weeks. Is he the
Can I
goat?
get out? Get out of this game break. I don't want to be here anymore.
No.
That's so like, oh, that's too far.
Sorry.
So
I'm just posing questions, alright? I'm getting paid. I'm doing my job. And it's all,
She can throw a
it's all
pun in
anyone
there
can
every
ask
now
of
and
me.
then. Then that's perfect.
I know. Get the good ones out. Guys, we are heading into Hanamura next. Do you guys think there is any potential for the Atlanta Reign to come back into this, or do you think this is going to remain in one side?
who knows at this point? Everyone's reverse sweeping everyone.
Yeah, it
Everywhere.
It could go anywhere. Honestly, the Atlanta has to play May at this point, right? We're going to Hanamura. May Wolves get so much value. May Elts get so much value. If I don't see them play May, I would be very shocked. So I'd almost like to see Ursa come into the lineup, maybe play Ursa Baby Bay, Ursa Edison, anything like that. Just get Ursa coming in on the May, and I think it should go a lot better for this team.
All right, let's see if they make any switches in their lineup or not. We'll find out any second. And for all the action, we're heading back to Mr. X and Uber.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back after the break, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you had a chance to take a breather because this has been an intense matchup.
Yeah.
Maybe on the scoreboard not as close as we would have expected it to be. Hollywood definitely had a lot of high-flying moments. Clear to see the talent on display, but Philadelphia, Matt, seems to have the cohesion.
Yeah, it's been close at times, but Philly has really blown it open when it's mattered. And their switches have been better. I think, like Johnny mentioned during the game break, I think their composition's been better, a little bit more sound overall. Also helps that Carpe can kind of rotate through a list of heroes to play at any time to pair with the Mei. I do think we'll probably see Atlanta commit more towards a Mei-centric comp here in the second half.
Right, we've seen Carpe go from Torbjorn, Hangzhou to Tracer, and basically a lot of those switches are coming out in response to what he expects to see. He is trying his best to counterpick his opponent as much as he can. And Edison, look, it was tough for him to try and answer that. We saw that last phase of Hollywood, right? When you pointed it out, you said Edison's on Tracer here. They're attacking into that last cul-de-sac, and there are only so many ways to get through to the point. As Tracer, if you take a stray bullet, anything like that, you're forcing a recall.
And they did it for like 3 fights. I mean, you should have just almost just gotten rid of it as soon as you switched over. The next map in the set will be Hanamura. We do have some subs for both teams. So Bunny Astro comes back in here for the Philly Fusion. For their squad, and then I believe we do have Urster who's going to come in here for Edison. So Edison will go out, Urster will come in, probably going to go and play some more Mei. That's probably why you bring in Urster, play some Mei. In the rare occasion we see something wild happen, like a Genji or something, Urster can play that, but really I think this is more about the Mei.
Neither of these teams have lost an assault map yet this season, and for Philadelphia, having played 8 matches, that is significant. Hanamura has been especially comfortable for them. They're 2-0 on this map, and you know their setups have looked really smooth. They haven't really been close, to getting beaten on this particular map here. Now, Urster comes in for Edison, switches in. Now we've known Urster to play many of the things that we've seen from Edison before. Also, a lot of really projectile-focused heroes. Now, the Junkrat on defense is extremely interesting.
Junkrat's been pretty powerful here on D, right? He's great in these choke points. Hanamura really has one central choke that you can put pressure on. I wonder what Philly does. Do you play a junk of your own to work down their shields and then something more of a hit scan range? So you see Hawk with a little nice tech there, boosts himself up a little bit.
That's clever, I dig that. Hawk gets himself up in the high ground. Carpe might be an early sim TP to the point, so Philly want to be fast. They do not want to give this
avoids
away.
Junkrat damage.
Can they get through quickly? Now, they can't lose a TP to Junkrat straight away. They're going straight for the Junkrat. That is suicide. Okay, so half of their team gets through the teleporter, but if that's intentional or not, Carpe is already looking to go back and switch, and Ivy's got himself on the roof here.
Yeah, Carpe,
undetected as yet.
I was going to say, Carpe could go back and play something like Hanzo or Widow, and once his team goes in, they'll have to turn at the choke, and that's where he can put down bulk of his damage.
Now, Atlanta know that Philly have half their team in here. They're trying to deal with the threats at the front right now, but they may have caught Dogman out. Wall, Dogman uses his Exo boots to get over it here, but that immortality field is down. Now he gets to work, laying the groundwork here for a solid fight. He gets the freeze on towards Hawk, has to use Ice Block, and as soon as his wall comes off cooldown, he throws it out. Now, that catches Urster out. Carpe was traded though, and Sato struggled there. He seemed to have been caught in place, and for a moment I thought he was disconnected, but I guess he was just CC'd into oblivion, even without a main on the Atlanta side of things. So Philly now just running with very little.
Yeah, Philly's still trying to get this going. Let Atlanta just burns some ultimates.
That is a quick Dragon Strike.
Yep, Baby launches the Dragon out. Yeah, it is very quick. But I do think, though, Philly, they had an idea there where maybe they wanted more people to rotate around and then Carpe just go back and switch, which is probably the initial plan. But still, they got a good fight out of what looked like a plan that was really messed up at the beginning.
I wonder if they wanted their whole team. I assume they want their entire team through the teleporter based on this kind of death ball composition they're playing with the Ryan and Orisa.
They probably would have gotten on the point much faster with the speed boost than everybody else if they were there, yeah. Yeah, with an immortality field as well.
We can infer that something went wrong for them there, and that was just a really... that cost them 2 minutes though, Matt. 2 minutes! All right, well, they're pushing through now, trying to make up for that lost time. Funny Astro has a sound barrier. God, he'd hate to have to use it before they get onto the point proper. And the Atlanta Reign had a great fight to build up ultimates. This is a Riptide there, which is almost a guaranteed kill. Especially in the absence of potentially an Immortality field, which Alarm is going to have to hold until then. Can they force that out? Well, Philly moved close to the point. Alarm plays on the high ground. Here they come. Maybe a wall off from Ivy here on either one of those doorways to just give them just the one angle to fight with. But here's the Riptire. An instant kill is exactly what Ursa's looking for. Just one's enough, and he gets Funny Astro.
Is it enough, though? Blizzard goes down on the point here. Is Philly, they're going to get that first tick. Players still trying to run in. Oh, the tank's really low for Philly. They're just going to get barreled over. So the tire plus the team coming forward with some extra damage is enough to get another fight win. As Funny Astro holds on to his sound barrier. So you'll have sound barrier, Amp Matrix, and you'll have the Supercharger here. So looks like potentially an issue.
Yeah, they're calling for a pause here. It looks like someone's might has been muted. Yeah. So that was Gator, who's trying to communicate with the rest of his team. But I'll take a quick aside for you guys now because for Philly, this is dangerous. Gator says in chat, the game was too easy, they had to mute. They were saying, Philly, their next map, the payload type map, is their worst category of map. They've actually only won a third of their map. So if they lose Hanamura here, I feel like statistically there is potential for another map 5.
Well, what I also think happened here as we go back into game, I'm pretty sure Carpe got a pick onto Masa right before we ended. And now Masa should be coming off the respawn here. So you may see Philly try and get aggressive, take advantage of this, or they don't have enough players here. As Carpe was able to pick up that one kill, but by now, Moss is going to be coming back.
They saved a lot of ultimates, Philly. It's almost like they knew that push was ill-fated anyway.
They've had
so they have a lot to work with. So we need a good Hulk Dragon trying to start off with. Gravitic Flux going to make this a little harder. But Immortality Field comes down just after they hit the ground. That's removed, but Alarm got the job done. Problem is, Matt Sato was low. Yes, he was kept alive, but he didn't get healed up quickly enough from the Flux, taking half of his health. So, yeah, they're going to get forced away again. And Philly, they used ultimates that time. They used quite a few. That sound barrier from Funny Astro, he is going to wish he has that in the next fight.
Oh, absolutely.
The last fight.
Amp Matrix available, potentially like Amp Matrix with a Fire Strike on through, but it is not looking good for the Philly Fusion. Fury gets on a Wrecking Ball, try and get back. Carpe with a whip shot, dives to Masa there.
Absolutely dominated. Carpe chased down by Masa and Co. and finished with a whip shot, and Philly are going to crumble. There is no chance for them here in this fight. Ursa with another Riptire, and this is just a cherry on top. A little bit of a celebration here because of the Atlanta Reign hold Philly to just one tick on the point. Philly were fairly close to getting 2, but nothing goes right for the Fusion in that map. From the very first push, it didn't work. Dogman,
the sub to YouTube.
What an enterprising individual.
Yep. Smash the like button, guys.
Yeah.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Yep, there you go. It's the YouTube way.
I'm okay with Dogman plugging his own YouTube channel on Overwatch League broadcast. I think I can. I think I can get around.
Make sure to turn on notifications. Yep, Dogman hitting all the key points here. And evidently that's his hashtag. Hashtag Dog Gang. Super original.
Gang. Yeah, no, never heard that one before. Fair enough. I mean, I'm sure
surprised it wasn't the Dog Pound. That would have been even more original.
Right, Matt, real quickly, just to remind everybody at home that Activision Blizzard and the Overwatch League are proud to support the WHO to encourage all of our players to hashtag play a part together. That's what we're doing right now. Everyone's doing that. Together, we're using one of the most powerful preventative strategies to protect ourselves, our loved ones, and others. We all have the power to combat this pandemic by staying home and playing together online, which I assume many of you are doing. But if you're not doing that, give it some thought, because so far it's been pretty good. Both these two teams are technically playing a part together, I would say. At least, as far as Philly and Atlanta are concerned, they're definitely not in the same facility anymore. And we'll see what Philly have. They're going to have a Junkrat on defense map, but they have... they've really messed up on this map. I think there's really no other way of putting it. They just...
they do get 61%, but still, Atlanta looks very good to take this map. Baby Bay on the Symmetra. Potentially just trying to get that TP going, just like how we saw Philly try and do.
And I don't really...
They don't even go for it.
I don't care how good you are. I really don't think that a team like Atlanta Reign is going to get full held on this map without just a huge
Tracer
effort.
into the junk in the choke. With...
Well,
I mean,
you can get past. You can get
yeah,
past.
You can get past. Yeah, they open up enough space for him to get past here. So
Master, no, not so lucky. Ivy now has a really good position. Even after the Immortality Field is gone, they're going to have no health left. And that is a good start from Philadelphia. They need more of that. Because bear in mind, with one tick, there is potential to win the map, but I'm not going back on what I'm saying. It is going to be extremely hard to hold a team like Atlanta.
They almost got
door.
two. They almost got two ticks. You can see that little arrow on the top of your screen by A. That's the percentage that Philadelphia got to that Atlanta will have to match to win the map. And they get very close to taking that second tick. So it's not 100% like, oh, Atlanta's just going to walk in and take this. A few fights are going Philly's way. Look how slow it took for Philly to develop at the beginning, right? You'd be in a very bad spot if Atlanta did the same.
I'm really interested about the first bank of ults and how they're used, Matt. That's going to be the really telling sign. Erster gets in here, takes a lot of damage, but he's managed to find his way behind enemy lines now. Pulse Bomb is still a ways away. He's not really been able to do damage. The loss of Dogman. I think Erster either he's just going to try and sit safely behind you and not get found out. Philadelphia, though, should be aware that he's come through because Fury saw him whiz on past in the blur of color.
And he went and contested the point, so they know he's still back there. I just don't think they care, to be honest with you. I think
they pull Philadelphia back by standing on the point.
Right. I mean, maybe, but I think if you're Philly, you know that's the bait that they want you to fall for. You'll probably just send one player back. You can send back like Funny Astro with an Immortality, and then be fine.
All right, Gravitic Flux is going to come out now. Funny Astro's Immortality Field down. Fury trying to drop it here. Fury's the master, by the way, of the defense matrix. Kinetic Grasp could shut down a Pulse Bomb. Pizarro's missing, Matt. Not a great start here for Philly after getting, even though they got their first kill. Ivy's looking. Oh, he's found two! That will stop this push. Philly can now reconvene back on the point, and all of a sudden, 2.5 minutes have elapsed, and the Atlanta Reign have nothing to show.
And they're not even going to get a tick out of that. A lot of ults used by the Philly Fusion, though. If you're Atlanta Reign, you can kind of play in an all-in scenario here and try and build up, another ult or two. Well, there
that
goes
is
Erster.
not good.
Now that is no bueno. As now you're going to have the Supercharger come up here for the Philly Fusion. Look, if you can win the next fight of your Philly with Supercharger and get a bunch of Junkrat damage down, and they end up investing even a little into it, you may win this map.
You have to get past Transcendence here. I think I'd be most scared about that from Atlanta. Here's two Dragon Strikes. Oh, they get Hawk early at the start of the fight. They have to wait again. And that was a cheaply won fight for Philly. Just let the Dragon go. This is going to give Alarm and Funny Astro some time. Now, Philly aren't taking much damage. They're playing very safely. Which
Atlanta
means
has so many ults here. They have to win this.
Philly can't get their supports, their ultimates ready because, I mean, Philly aren't willing to take free poke damage because it very quickly blows up in your face against Batiste and Zencom. All right, 19 seconds to go. Atlanta have to make the play here. Sana loses his Supercharger right at the start of the fight, but Master is in with the Transcendence. They're looking for Fury. Hawk needs to find his kill. He needs to get something, and they do. Dogman helps him out. Now it's 5 up for Philly. They're missing a player. Gator's a little bit low, but they've let their foot off the gas diffusion. They've allowed Atlanta to come to the point, but that's the trade. Carpe down. Hawk finds him now. Alarm is missing, and here it is. The Atlanta Reign. They play patient Overwatch, Matt, and they come back for one last push, secure themselves the map, and stay alive in the series.
And there's nothing Philly can do in that fight. So many ultimates available for Atlanta. Everybody hits Q, and they overwhelm them at the same time. They're able to run right through and take the point. And it's not a pretty offense for the Atlanta Reign by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one that gets the job done. They have the ultimates. They waited. They were patient, like you said. They use them and take it.
Yeah, I mean, that position that Fury's in is vulnerable to an all-in. He's playing as a little bit of a loose end. Close to the choke, making sure he gets accretions into the window, making half a tracer to get him, but then he's on his own. Hawk just sends a Gravitic Flux at him. That also lets Hawk get up onto the high ground by doing so, and then he's already in that Sigma's face. So nice job by the Atlanta Reign to take a localized 2v1 engagement and get themselves a player advantage. And you saw how it snowballed out. So the series lives on, and our next map, being the payload type, doesn't favor, statistically, the Philly Fusion. They want to finish the series there, but, I mean, this match, Matt, has all the hallmarks of a map 5. Yeah, it's possible. We'll see if it's going to be the case. Map number 4 is right around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, on the other side of map number 3. And the series is still being kept alive. Atlanta Reign, as many would have hoped, many would have expected, have stayed in the series with a convincing victory on Hanamura, but it still went to the wire. It was still one last team fight, and that's kind of been the theme of this series so far. The next map, Matthew, is Dorado, where both of these teams, I believe, lost to Paris. They lost this map specifically to Paris, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, we haven't really seen amazing things from them, but they've had to go up against the top... I can't believe I'm saying that about Paris Eternal. Yeah, the top quality team that Paris Eternal have become.
Yeah, one of the top teams in the Atlantic Division. I think you can definitely say that about the Paris Eternal. For both of these teams, though, it was much better ult usage there towards the end. The patience of the Atlanta Reign to just wait and wait and wait. Philly were in a position where they needed to invest every single fight to 100% win every single fight. So they didn't have the luxury of holding on to ultimates like Atlanta. We do have a sub, though, I believe, for the Philly Fusion. So they come back with Boombox for Funny Astro. Interesting that they put Funny Astro in on the previous map to really play the same exact stuff that we saw Boombox play in map number 2. So we get a look at Boombox yet again. A very good flex support player who's now playing that Baptiste.
Yeah, I personally, it seemed like Philly wanted the Lucio for their offense pushes on Hanamura.
Yeah.
Here, I think, which is odd, obviously, because Master was playing at a lot of Brigitte across that whole map, but he really seems to have an affinity with that particular hero. Could have something to do with his origin, not really sure. Heading over towards, Dorado. Again, it's a map where we'll probably see double flex support. Alarm and Boombox, the Batistan's in, and slow play, use the cart. Orisa sets up there. May controls chokes. And I think the second phase of this map will be the most interesting. Like this high ground courthouse area. We'll see how the teams sort of try and get around that. Hangzhou should feature heavily, right, Matt?
Yeah, exactly. And Bap Zen just gives you a ton of damage, extra damage, right? You have the Baptiste, the Zen, let's say you run like a Hangzhou, and then you also have a Mei. There's a lot of damage there outside of the tanks to just constantly poke around. So having that Baptiste is great. Obviously, the Baptiste can control the high ground rather easily as well. So very good on a map here like Dorado.
Out the gates we go, and to no one's surprise, it will be Boombox on the Baptiste. So he and Alarm have combined in the maps that they have played for more final blows than actually the rest of their team combined, more than half. So the support line from Philadelphia has been doing a lot of work in terms of securing, at least, these kills.
Yeah.
And again, so it is a testament to just how high damage this composition is. Master now playing... Master's played a revolving door of different heroes over the course of this series. He's back on the Baptiste.
Yep. Yeah, we've seen him on the Baptiste, the Lucio, the Brigitte. We've seen him on a lot of the supports thus far, as it'll be Atlanta on attack here. No surprise in terms of the damage dealers with the Mei and the Hangzhou thus far. Hangzhou's pretty good this whole map, right? You think about the verticality from point A to point B. Hangzhou can really be a nuisance on the high ground.
Yep, whole thing he looks quite good. Pulp and accretion combo, but Gator not really bothered by Boulder. They're going to force the fusion down to the low ground just by moving up here. So Philly played that high ground phase without really finding any kills, but as soon as they rotate, they get rid of Fork. It looks like that was an accretion straight into the Sigma's face. All the intellect Sigma has, he can't calculate the trajectory of a flying rock. That seems a bit strange, but okay.
So they're stuck now at the choke. So what does Atlanta do? They want to rotate around. You don't have a Lucio for the speed, right? So it's really telegraphed if you come around towards the staircase. But like with a Lucio, we see a lot of teams, they'll opt for that type of play. Atlanta, you almost just kind of have to play the choke with this setup.
Maybe these little peaks for him are fine until Hyperspheres start coming his way, and then he's really going to have to reposition. Just like that, you see he has to back out now, play over the bridge. He had his own Sigma shield in front of him for a time. Carpe is sitting right back there by the statue, by the fountain, so hasn't really featured heavily on the kill feed yet. And the Atlanta Reign are making slow, ponderous progress forward. This is what you expect from these double shield compositions. Someone at Philly decided to pull the trigger and go for the immortality field. It pays off. They get rid of Dogman. Dogman again, characteristically aggressive piece. And Alarm is playing very conservatively here from the back line.
Oh, it's, you do lose Sato, though, in the front. That's going to be the Amp Matrix plus some damage from the Orisa and Ursa to finish off. How do you play this now without your Orisa?
Both the Meis hug the walls. They know that if they can sort of break the cycle of getting frozen up, that they won't turn to ice completely. But Philly have to give a lot of ground losing Sato here. Fury's shield just frankly cannot stand for long at all. It goes in a matter of seconds. And oh, there it is! Sometimes when you play Hangzhou, kills just come to you. Fury gets taken down while in midair, and that was a nice gravitic flux transition. Hawk again, solidifying his status as a top Sigma player.
And that feels bad for Philly. You lose Carpe to a nice flick there from Baby Bay, and you also invest your Blizzard into that. Atlanta can hold on to a lot of their ultimates, everything outside of that gravitic flux, and now you have the Dragon. You have Halt Dragon potentially, right? You have Blizzard as well. A lot of combos you can use for Atlanta to keep that card moving.
Well, customary at this point to try and take your high ground, as the cart probably will just have, you know, Dogman attending it for the most time, while the rest of the Rain try and push up and try and remedy the overall slowness of the way that their composition advances through the map. Baby Bay sees a shield, probably getting pretty used to those by now. Gravitic Flux catches Gator, but he's able to get out of it there, so he uses his Fortify. He's no longer subject to the gravity. Oh, Fury's in trouble. Kinetic Grasp, also Immortality Field thrown down, and it's stayed alive for so long. Dogman goes for a Transcendence, and it looks like he's just matching alarms. The Atlanta Rain wanted to go aggressive there, but they've caught Fury, and they've caught Alarm off towards the side. Now that wall helps them stay alive and get back, but Baby Bay is just dominating Carpe.
Baby Bay's had a good series. Regardless how this turns out for Atlanta, I thought his McCree was good, and now you see on the Hangzhou, just any hero that takes a lot of just mechanical skill in terms of aim, Baby Bay is usually pretty good at it. Hangzhou today, it's been his calling as he picks up another first blow in a fight, and that'll get the Atlanta Rain almost, it looks like Philly not going to contest. That'll be the second checkpoint.
Hawk is doing an absurd amount of damage relative to the rest of his team here, Matt. Like a good third of his team's damage is coming from him. I don't think anyone was really skeptical about him. You know, when he came into this team, he had a really strong reputation from being on the academy roster for the Atlanta Rain, but still, he really looks so comfortable there. Now Fury, again, we haven't seen much of him this season up until very recently. So Hawk just really making it hard for the Fusion to approach here, and Philly want to be able to do that, but slowly. Okay, nice accretion. Baby Bay, that is a rock thrown through the window, and Ivy finds two.
Oh, that is difficult to watch from his POV. Gets just brought up into the air, hit in the face with a rock, nothing you can do. But like you mentioned with Hawk, though, with the amount of damage that he's been able to put out, you saw a little bit of it there. Like when Philly plays so clumped together in these chokes and whatnot, like your Sigma's going to get a lot of damage, right? With just kind of spamming constantly. Like Sigma doesn't have a reload animation. He can just throw the Hyperspheres forever. And that's where you're going to see a lot of the damage come chip damage. And this is an interesting play. It's a Dragon that tries to come through the floor here, but Philly reads it.
Yeah, but Philly aren't doing anything to stop what's going on the ground, and Carpe gets picked off again. It's Hawk this time. Gravitic Flux, he knows that Philly have to challenge, so he makes the most of it, but he's frozen up. What can Philly do to respond to this? Dogman had the Transcendence, so that Blizzard, all it does is slows down the Atlanta Rain. Yeah, I guess they'll be telling their kids they had to, you know, walk 3 miles in snow to the payload, but they're still going to win the map at this rate.
Alarm is 99% towards that Transcendence. Probably would have used it to get back towards the cart and drops at the final seconds. Carpe gets on. He's in a Blizzard, though. Immortality field down. Lots of trouble, but you have Ivy now getting on the point as Tracer. Transcendence used by Alarm. As this looks like the Atlanta Rain, they're going to set a tremendous time here.
Maywall thrown out, so it's really just Ivy right now. He has to try and recall. Supercharger for Gator. Baby Bay on the legs, gets himself a Helix Rocket finish on Ivy. And Gator sits so comfortably here, he just waits for people to challenge him. A very long-winded kinetic grasp from Fury, and that kept him alive a little bit longer, but it's just all. Let's make no mistake about that. Frankly, that was a pretty abysmal hold from Philadelphia. They really at no point gave Atlanta Rain pause for thought.
After Atlanta took the first checkpoint, there was no defense from Philly whatsoever. I mean, it was non-existent. Maybe a little bit. Yep, you can go sub to Dogman again on YouTube if you want to see.
There is so much banter from Atlanta. I mean, like,
Atlanta
Gator's mic got muted, and he said I was too easy, so they had to mute my mic. Like, there is, these guys are friends, but you do have like 2 teams that talk a bunch of trash. Since Philadelphia now has a few more.
Please. If you were to make a power rankings of general chat in Overwatch League matches, Atlanta would probably be #1 and stay #1 forever, I feel like.
I think so. Especially this look from Philly. I think, you know, once you get Funny Astro and Boombox together, you know, you start to get a little bit of trash spoken, but with Carpe, Ivy, Sato, Fury, Alarm,
the
these
banter
guys
power rankings, Baby Bay may win alone. Baby Bay and Dogman may win alone.
Yeah, well, it's you know, it's not 7 a.m., so Baby Bay is not exactly at his zenith power-wise.
I love those guys. They're hilarious. I mean, if you're not following Dogman or Baby Bay, you got to go out and do it.
They're just ridiculous
They're just great
humans.
characters, man.
Yeah, and they're not too bad at clicking heads either. You know, Dogman has a very large amount of final blows. He's managed to sort of pick up 4, and he actually had 4 after like point B. So looking for a lot of those aggressive peaks. I don't know, the Rain really just burn with the fire, and once they get momentum, they really start to lean in and exercise that.
Yeah, they weren't plugging their YouTubes game 1 and 2. We just saw it right after that.
I mean, like, you know, and we hope that you guys at home, if you haven't seen them before, one day soon we'll have another chance to see them on stage in the future, because they really make quite an electric atmosphere. But for now, they're gonna just, you know, type things on the internet. That seems like how they're gonna get in Philly's head. Philadelphia.
No Lucio here, like I mentioned earlier, from Philly. So it really makes that staircase very difficult to push down through the spam from Hawk. So you're really just trying to work this choke.
Ivy, Fury, Alarm. This trio will rotate to the high ground. We'll obviously have an Orisa playing the choke, I mean, if they can just make, you know, incremental movements with the payload like they are now, I mean, just little pushes from Gator. Okay, now having Hawk on the other side of that wall is less than ideal. It was almost Fury that got caught out there. Quite simply, Philly need to find a pick here. I mean, getting rid of Baby Bay would be
you're trying to manufacture it, right? You're trying to get players on both sides of the cart, push them back, get them to scramble a little bit, open up a sight line for whether it be Carpe or Ivy to get a pick off. But Atlanta playing very good here. They're just not giving them anything at all.
And they're constantly in flux, man. They're always moving. Hawk. Okay, Kinetic Grasp gets a bit of shielding, backs away, doesn't get frozen up, doesn't have a shield to work with right now, but Sigma has about 1,200 abilities, so and shields down, can still do other stuff.
And it's gotten to the point where the Philly Fusion felt like they needed to invest in Amp Matrix there to manufacture a pickoff, get the extra damage, and they don't get anything with it. So Atlanta with another good hold. So we've seen from them the second half. Hanamura, they were good on D, now they're bringing it here on Dorado.
Oh, this looks very subdued by Philadelphia. They need to come up with an answer. This is a star-studded roster. And frankly, if you're sat there in the coaching staff, you are molding. There is no reason why these guys can't come up with an answer right now. Eventually, it is going to have to come down to the individuals. And those DPSs on the Fusion, or even Alarm, Boombox, somebody. They have to try and find a way to force a mistake. I understand that Atlanta aren't just going to step out into line of sight and get their head shot off by a Hangzhou arrow. You have to create these opportunities for yourself. Right now, they're playing very slow, very passive.
You have to understand, though, Atlanta, with the composition and with May and the double shield, you can play slow, as that'll be a Gravitic Flux with a May wall and comes right after it. You can play slow and out of line of sight. Ivy would say he's in trouble.
Well, how about Ivy plays from his spawn?
I mean, he will for the next few seconds. They'll come
Bit of a non-bow there. Okay, we saw Gravitic Flux sort of pulled everyone away from the Dragon Strike of Baby Bay, but I don't think it really matters. Frankly, Madeira, don't give a darn. The fact is the Atlanta Reign still have plenty of ultimates to use. The Supercharger Transcendence still ready to be used here, so a ton to throw at Philly. There's no guarantee that Philadelphia can actually set up a solid Dragon Strike combo here. There's way too much. There's Immortality Field. There's Fortify for Sato to walk on out. There's Ice Block. It's hard. Ivy, I mean, just throw some icicles out, see what you can find.
Yeah, you'll probably see a Supercharger used for both teams here early on. There it is for Gator. This will just buy more time. So it looks like Fury wants entrance with the Gravitic Flux. You can probably just get rid of that with the Immortality Field and then Transcendence after, and that's exactly what happens. As that really doesn't do anything here for the Philly Fusion.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they really had, because the Reign had the perfect combo of defensive abilities and ultimates. Man, they had
it was so telegraphed,
Immortality Field up.
So telegraphed.
And the Dragon Strike comes in from the next county line, so they see it coming and they just step on out of it. Look, Atlanta Reign look fantastic. They look very solid. Their engages look very good, and they're also not taking any undue risks. Philadelphia don't look good.
No.
That was not good at all from them and not up to the standard they showed the first two maps. So now, once more, Philadelphia's fate is in their own hands, and they need to win in a map 5.
This feels like a lot like the first series we just watched, where one team dominates at the beginning of the half, they look great, everything's rolling, and then they fall apart in the second half, where now the Atlanta Reign have really put it together as I would mention now Urster, right? He comes into the lineup to play the May all the time, and they've looked much better.
Yeah, and like I personally have a real fondness for both of these teams, especially the individuals on them. But I've said before that Philly fans, I believe, exist in a state between pure ecstasy and incredible, undying rage. Let's see which one they're going to be walking away from this match with as we head to the break. When we return, Map 5, Philly style. It's the deciding here at the Overwatch League. We'll see you in just a moment.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Oh, hello.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
Live.
We are back here at the Overwatch
phenomenal.
League. We're collecting ourselves. That was kind of crazy what we saw in that last map. And again, Philly have to do it in a map number 5. I mean, in fairness to them, they are good at this. This is their wheelhouse. But the Atlanta Reign, they're not the kind of team that's going to just let them walk over here. Now, Philly did look very good on the control map. Busan was still close, though. It was still a song of Torbjorn versus Tracer. Carpe trying to shut down Edison and finding a way to deal with the Torb.
But since they've gone to a mirror matchup where you have Baby Bay on the Hangzhou and then you have Urster on the May, Atlanta's been able to find success after halftime. So now as we go into game 5 and you don't have maybe like Edison kind of running around trying to force Tracer in certain spots against Torbjorn, getting kind of counter-picked at times by Carpe, will Atlanta be able to win in the head-to-head?
They have to have, gone back and thought a little bit about, what they saw in the first couple rounds. What I want to know is if they stay with the Brigitte here, if they think that's the answer, if Master's going to be on that pick. He's an incredible Lucio player. Yeah. I'm not saying the Brigitte hurt them necessarily. I think it adds an extra layer of appeal, but Carpe's playing Torbjorn, mate. He's not going to be in your backline for you to shield bash. You're just trying to punish Sato as much as you can?
No, they can't get aggressive, right? But the Brigitte is used in a way where they thought Philly maybe would come out with a more aggressive comp, try and take the action. Then that's where Brig can be effective, kind of brawling on the point, but we didn't see any of that from the Philly Fusion. So here on Ilios, I don't know if you're going to necessarily need the Brig or see the Brig.
Well, regardless, again, this is a map that offers a couple of different opportunities as opposed to what we saw on Busan.
Yeah.
The way that these maps are structured, I mean, especially for example, is a little bit unique here. Now, you know, there is a lot of potential for Lucio to be high impact on this map, right? Obviously with the environmental kill potential, Brig has a bit of that herself. I don't think you lean on it nearly as much here. I want to see, you know, if the McCrees really get picked here and they make the most of this well area, because that sort of quadrangle, the square in the middle of the map, is about McCree's ideal range, where he's not too close, but he's also not experiencing any damage fall off.
If you see the Rhine with the Orisa and the Lucio, I think you may see McCree from Philly, just because it's a better gap closer, and in terms of just like medium range damage, probably is safer than like the Hangzhou. Where it looks like they want to run Rhine Orisa, so they want to get aggressive. They're going to have that Lucio in play, yep. And then, like I mentioned, you see Carpe play the McCree because it's a medium range type of composition. What's interesting is Atlanta counters it, and they're going to not have the Rhine in here, though. So they're going to just try and kite this. When you see, yep, Philly's going to move around, Atlanta's just, they're just going to kind of keep circling around each other. They don't want to let the Rhine get close.
What does the Sigma give you here playing at long ranges? I mean, I guess he gets a lot of value in the side building, but out in the open, those hyperspheres, if they're not really bouncing around and getting AoE damage to multiple targets, don't seem that great.
Movable shield, a little bit more flexibility. You see like a stun. Rhine really, like, look, if Philly just stands there, what is the Reinhardt providing?
I mean, they want to hold the Rhine into the pit if they possibly can. Sato needs to be careful not to get too close to the edge there. Ursa just picks off Ivy at extreme range there. It looks like the shields were down for a time. Both shields from Philly, though, were dropped, and really they should be trying to cycle them as much as they can. That pick gives Atlanta the point.
I mean, Philly gets a pick as well, but it doesn't matter because they're not able to get anything going with the Rhine. I think you're going to have to see them potentially think about switching off of this after this next fight.
I mean, how does it work, though? Sato, does he play Sigma? I mean, Sato has to take the Orisa. Fury has to take the Sigma then, if that's what they're going to do. That's
I mean, they would
a loss of ult economy.
Yeah, they'd have to switch back. I mean, maybe you see it after a Supercharger. Almost at this point, they're kind of committed to it. Gator pushes right on in.
That's perfect. Use that aggression. I mean, that's where you want to be as Sigma, and that's where you don't want to be as McCree. Carpe got run over there, and Masa gets himself back on the Lucio, and a speed boost allows the range to engage. A really clean fight.
Yep, clean fight there from Atlanta, but Carpe now goes to Hangzhou, so this will give them a little bit more damage at range. But I'm really interested in what happens with these tanks, as Ivy will get caught out there by Ursa. So they kind of have to keep the tanks like you mentioned because of ultimate economy, at least at this point. But you have to probably consider switching off of it. I just don't think you're going to be able to close the gap. If Atlanta was running the Brig, it'd be a completely different story.
Right, because they don't have the ability to just run over
away.
Philly. But the Reinhardt looks and it feels awkward on this map. Philly don't want to play in close quarters, but they don't want to have him yanked into the pit by the Orisa either. Carpe, again, gets his little flank. So, I mean, the Atlanta Reign don't need encouragement to stay inside in that room. They have the point already. Carpe has to find a meaningful pick. Maybe with a hold, setup, combo. No, Fury's down, and Philly are just not in this round. They've never been in this round.
No. Well, the issue is they need to play close Philly to get any type of value out of the Reinhardt. If they speed boost at the Atlanta Reign, the Atlanta Reign speed boost away. And then they have more utility to just pick up kills at longer ranges. As Fury now gives up on the Orisa, he'll go to Wrecking Ball just to get a touch.
I mean, if that's all it is, then it doesn't really solve anything, does it? Hawk, Gravitic Flux was hoping to make Philly, unable to touch the point here, but he'll take that cheeky accretion. Carpe's lucky just to skitter away across the rooftops to even stay alive. So here's a sound barrier here from Atlanta. They're going to push up. Ursa almost got knocked into the pit there. He actually just changed his trajectory briefly before Astro sent him sprawling in. That is a complete and utter yikes from me. Sato trying to shadow behind him and he gets blocked in.
The way Philly was out comping Atlanta earlier, they're getting that point. They got out comped pretty bad.
That is okay. Carpe gets 2 final blows. He has 2 out of his 3s. 2 out of 3 of his team's total final blows. Hey, so here you can play the
Reinhardt here. I was just going to say that you can play the Rhine Orisa here. This is a point that would work. But you see Atlanta's response. Junkrat Brig. That's the response here from the Atlanta Reign to this.
And you can play Sim here quite happily. If you're going to be, going up and clashing shields for much of the round, I mean, he's probably going to stay in it. Maybe just play the Hangzhou again. But, I mean, you have so many options as Atlanta. They are ready for this. Philly are in trouble.
Yeah, and then we're going to see the Torb come out. So, Torb May with the Rhine. And this is going to be Atlanta running the junk with Urster. And then the Brig. Atlanta should be able to get point control here.
Well, Urster will start here getting a little bit of early poke damage now. Philadelphia can't stand inside there. They are denied much of that room unless they want to take a lot of shield damage, which it appears they are. Atlanta will take their time.
Atlanta doesn't need the point right now because they know they're going to be able to manufacture pickoffs. Like, they're just baiting the Philly Fusion out.
Yeah, those shields can't stand up to the onslaught of the Torbjorn. That Gator, a little bit compromising spot, but just walks away. Pops his Fortify and gets out of trouble. Urster, though, wasn't quick enough, not nearly as lucky, so it is a 6v5. But Philly have to trundle their way towards the point here. There will be some time for Urster, who's just respawned, to get back for the late fight. Astro is going to push together. Philly just trying to envelop the Atlanta Reign. That is beautiful! Perfect stuff from Funny Astro, and maybe a little bit of vitriol there for his old team. Easy in the chat from Funny Astro.
That is a big boot there from Funny Astro. Could have potentially saved the game here for the Philly Fusion. Things are not looking good.
Oh, it's hilarious. The banter in the chat. Master says it's an L2P issue, in my opinion, which is learn to play. Wow, okay. Well, nicely done by Funny Astro. He's probably hoping to get a bit of that done on well, but there was no opportunity for it. Philly are in control. They just evened up on capture percentage now as well. Or hoping for something for later. Bit of a schnack. Bit of extra health.
They get nothing with that Amp Matrix, though.
Okay, Blizzard here. Defensive, did I? Yeah, maybe they get shattered during that one. Yeah, you hear the upward inflection in my tone. It's not because I've been an American too long. It's because that was really questionable. Gator goes down to Carpe's turret. Ivy... yeah, he'll be fine. He'll just get rid of Hawk and be done with it. So Philly, some signs of life now. I wonder if they gambled on just not getting well on this map.
Oh, what? No, stop it. Stop that.
The comp looked awful.
I mean, it was, yeah, because it was. But I also think there's a part of it where they didn't expect Atlanta to be playing the Lucio. They expected Atlanta to be playing the Brig. So they would have been able to run them down. Ooh, Ivy gets caught out. They have to jump down.
All right, so they give out the high ground. They would have liked to hold it a little bit longer, get some extra percentage, but doesn't always work out that way. Best laid plans and all that. This is, okay, singularly aggressive play from Baby Bay. Trying to flank here. Gravitic Flux while Hawk turns his attention now to Sato. It's going to be a sound barrier from Astro here. Carpe caught outside the Immortality field, but he gets the safety. Only just, though. Molten Core over on the point, and Master was frozen solid. He was just using his rally as well, so all of that healing, all of that extra armor, that's gone. Forget about it. Philadelphia now at 95%, and Baby Bay still in a safe position to do work, but many of his teammates have already been felled.
And there's a Blizzard on the point.
It's over. One apiece here, and Philly get, I mean, a map that really makes sense with their composition, and when they play a neutral game versus Atlanta, they look to be better.
We get one more round to decide it all. I'm really interested to see what these teams run compositional-wise. Do you see a Widowmaker from either side? Torbjorn would be... It look like Baby Bay hovers the Torb. All right, so they want to play the Brig, because that Baby Bay is going to TP them out. Does he go and play Torb of his own, and do they match outside of just the Rhine versus Sigma? Is that the game plan here for Atlanta? I think that may be it. We'll see.
Seems to be what they're looking for now. So early TPs here. Sato charges. It's faster for him to charge. He gets further. Okay. All right. Well, what a fitting moment to see this come out now.
I wonder if Baby Bay will go play the Widow himself. Never one to shy away from a duel.
Sato already is going to push up here, so this just gives them a really strong little anchor onto the point. Ton of damage from Fury, though. This also does expose you from multiple angles in the high ground, just to take poke damage in general. So they're relying on Carpe to do a lot of work here. He has to find these headshots. It's Carpe we're talking about. I don't really know why that needs to be brought into question. He's found a couple already. Okay, has to heal himself. I mean, that makes sense, really. You have Batiste and Lucio, but you have to be self-sufficient from this position. You can't really tax your team's healing resources. You can't be a liability. Oh, okay, that's the shot you want to hit. Exo Boots used by Dogman, which is frankly bonkers that he would use it knowing the Widow's sitting in the corner, but he gets away with it. Can't say the same for the rest of his team, though.
Yeah, as he gets a shot into Baby Bay, and Funny Astro cleans him up. So just an Ant Matrix there used at the beginning for the Philly Fusion, but Widowmaker provides some good cover from above. Yep, Baby Bay, he'll play the Widow. You almost have to, right? You can't allow Carpe to just go uncontested. You're not going to play something like a Winston or a Genji. You're going to just match with a Widow of your own.
Baby Bay is in the top echelon of sort of critical hit accuracy, critical hit kills. So, well, yeah, Alarm, not really impressed by that. Doesn't really care. He's like you, man. Doesn't really give a damn about the numbers.
Alarm's pretty decent as well. Just drills him from across the map.
Sato has no shield, really. He's going to back away. Prevents him from getting broken, so it will regenerate a little faster. Yeah, oddly enough, considering he would be the one to be the impetus for their disengagement, but we'll let that one go. Dogman, yeah, punished a little bit heavily this time. Still going to survive it. Gator, though, not so lucky now. It's a 4v5. Atlanta have the numbers here. Fury's frozen up close, so close to the mega health pack, but he's not going to get it. Ursta and Hawk combine nicely, and I don't know, man. Hawk is really coming to his own here.
Yes.
He's definitely outshone Fury when it comes to that Sigma play over the course of the series. And Atlanta get themselves on the point now, but they're going to have to settle in for a long, cold winter. I'm not just talking about the main play.
And you saw there for a split second when we were on with Sato and he was on the point, why they want Masa on the Brig. They try and push through the point with the Sigma, and they're not able to do so right away. They wait a second, they come back with the Brigitte with the Sigma, and they're able to just barrel on through Sato.
Carp are going to make their way through. Okay, here's the Gravitic Flux now. Baby Bay sat in the back corner. Neither Widow challenging each other right now. It's a matter of trying to work those tanks down. Ideally not shields. Oh, that's a nice headshot though, but Dogman still goes down. An amplified fire strike keeps him at bay. Carper's going to find Ursa. They actually get each other. Ursa's icicle was already in flight before he went down, and the Atlanta Rain are going to get cleaned up here. Now they're in the danger zone. Sato's close to an Earth Shatter here, and they'll be walking headlong into it. The Atlanta Rain don't have much of their own to work with, though.
They don't have anything. Masa's going to have to go to Lucio to come back and get a touch. You're really relying on Baby Bay or Ursa to get a pick off early on here. Turn the tides in your favor.
Baby Bay's going to play a little bit more aggressively now. He knows he needs to do more than just try and match, and he gets rid of Alarm. It's traded out, though. Both Widows have found kills early on. Hawk trying to slow down Funny Astro, but can't find the increasing kill. Gets caught out. Frozen right out behind him. Hammer swings through, and it's brought down. Philadelphia Fusion, one day, they are going to die by the sword that they live by, man. But today is not that day.
It goes all the way to a Game 5, the final round, but Philly able to come out on top. Now you lose the first two maps if you're the Fusion. You battle back. You win the first two maps. You lose the next two, and then you battle back in that final map, where at least early on it didn't look like it was going to go in your favor. The Atlanta Rain played great in that first point, but Carpe comes in with some clutch Widowmaker shots. Sato as well, and the Reinhardt. They're all of map 5 long. Keeps him in it.
Now, this series definitely had everything. In that last round as well, I mean, the amount of healing. I mean, we'd already talked about this much, but it was like 22k to 14k. Philly are able to get so much more healing on the rest of their team and sustain through a lot of those fights. Carpe ends up with 10 final blows. So across the entire map, that is. But switching to Widow, you can see he made an impact. He gets a pick on Gator, right at the start of that last fire. Without the Orisa, there's no staying power. And then Hawk decides to go off and try and chase down Funny Astro, and then all of a sudden, there is no protection. Carpe's in a position where he can find another kill. He and Ursa trade, and that's really it. It has to be map 5 for Philadelphia Fusion. It seems like there is no other way. The last time these two teams played, it was also a map 5.
They're still 8-1 though, right? I mean, you're worried because the games are close, but you're not worried because of skill or anything else like that in terms of Philly. We've seen them play numerous weeks, all different types of compositions that they've had to deal with, hero pools, etc. They've come out on top. Philly looks like one of the teams to beat.
Yeah, we definitely questionable play from them on well. They're just the composition. You could see it a mile off, right? It just didn't make a lot of sense. And Atlanta are pro players themselves. They knew sort of how to counter that one. But I mean, so many huge plays from Philly. But we definitely got to talk about our player of the match, Matt.
Yeah, player of the match today. I believe it is Carpe for the Philadelphia Fusion. He was fantastic today. You know, the Torbjorn, he said, you know, he gets his 4,000th final blow. I think definitely deserving.
I mean, I was really impressed by Alarm over the course of this series. Funny Astro makes a big impact, but I mean, you know, I definitely think Carpe shone here. I think the first 2 maps were really the most important, especially when you're going to map 5. As always, Philly continue to lock down that control map type, and that's what you want to be. If you're going to be a map 5 team, you best be unbesmirched on those control maps. And when we went to Ilios, they were able to lock it down.
I still think in a loss, you still see a lot of good things about the Atlanta Reign. I think why people rate them so high. Although you end up losing the series, you move to 3-2 now. I still think Atlanta, one of the stronger teams in the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, and then going forward, I mean, they really have got so many more games to play. I think that's only what their 5th match so far. Was Philly have played like 8, so the Atlanta Reign will get to go back then and sort of survey the rest of their division and go, okay, well, maybe Philly's a bit of a challenge for us. Maybe Paris causes some problems. But there are a lot of teams that they could quote-unquote prey on here as long as they keep that level of play high. That will see them heading into a playoff situation looking pretty favorable. That whole division, we've looked at it before. It is completely stacked.
Yes, the Atlantic has a lot of good teams in it, but I'm excited for the next game. Final game of the day. The Shock versus the Gladiators. The Shock, they've been up and down this season, and I think the Gladiators, they have a really new look that's impressed me.
Absolutely. The San Francisco Shock are on the run back. Last time they went against the Gladiators, it didn't go so well for them. San Francisco, I mean, they're 500 right now in wins and losses. It's not what we expected from them this season. Let's see if they reach the lofty expectations that they've set for them right here on the Overwatch League after the break.